Today we have our second championship case for the 2022 playoff grid. Yesterday was Chase Elliott. Today we're going to talk about the watermelon man, Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain, what a year he has had in every way, shape, and form. He got his first career win at COTA earlier in the year, got his second career win at Talladega, has looked like a top contender, has led tons of laps at different places, but he has also gotten himself into trouble a few times. At Gateway, he wrecked Denny Hamlin. Atlanta, he wrecked Denny Hamlin. Gateway, he wrecked Chase Elliott. Dover, he got into it with Martin Truex Jr. So, there's a lot of things to factor in for this video. We're going to talk about each and every one. This is actually going to end up being one of the more complicated videos for the reasons I just listed, but also some other reasons that we will discuss. And it's not like because Ross Chastain is bad or anything, but it's just the fact of the matter. This is really his first year in the Cup Series with a championship contending car. He drove for Chip Ganassi Racing last year, and yeah, Chip Ganassi Racing, they were a winning organization. They won races. Heck, they won a race last year with Kurt Busch. But they never really made deep playoff runs except for with Kyle Larson a couple times. Other than that, Chastain has never really been in, race-winning equipment. And then he goes to Trackhouse after, Chip Ganassi Racing gets bought out by Trackhouse. He ends up going to that second car alongside Daniel Suarez. Trackhouse steps up their game. They give Chastain and Suarez race-winning equipment, and Chastain he's made the most of it. So let's look at his 2022 season so far. We talked about those two wins, one at a road course at the Circuit of the Americas in thrilling fashion, the second at Talladega also in thrilling fashion, but that is not the whole story. He is third on the lap sled list this year. He has led 583 laps on the season. That's only behind Chase Elliott and William Byron. He has the most top fives in the NASCAR Cup Series this year with 10 top fives, 14 top tens, which is good for the second most in the Cup Series. And he also is tied for the second most stage wins with 5 stage wins this year. So Ross Chastain has had himself quite the start to the season, or quite the season, I guess we should say. We are well into the season. He is currently 5th in the regular season standings, and he still has a shot for, I believe, second in the regular season standings. So I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say for all 16 drivers. I said it yesterday for Chase Elliott. We're saying it again today for Ross Chastain. You have to get as many playoff points as you possibly can, because the fact of the matter is there's no such thing as too much. Look at Kevin Harvick in 2020. Tell me there isn't too much, or such a thing as too much. So Ross Chastain, he needs to get as many playoff points as he can, and right now, getting the most playoff points would be finishing second in the regular season standings. He would get 10 playoff points from that. Obviously winning races, winning straight stages, maybe stay out this week to win a stage at Watkins Glen, something like that. But yeah, Ross Chastain, he has had himself quite the year, a breakout year, a career year, whatever you want to call it. But he has had his controversies, of course, and that could come back to bite him. Denny Hamlin, of course, we thought he got his revenge at Pocono when he walled Ross Chastain, and Chastain ended up crashing out of the race. But Hamlin does not sound like he's 100% done with Chastain. And also this past week at Richmond, Hamlin tried to, push Ross Chastain up the track, and he kind of failed. But he still seems upset at Chastain and seems like he wants more revenge. And also Chastain has not exactly made so many friends over the year. We saw last week against Kyle Busch, he wrecked him, but it wasn't exactly Chastain's fault. It was just one of those racing deals, but Kyle Busch did not see it that way at the time. He didn't say anything about revenge, but Chastain is an aggressive driver. He goes for it, I guess you could say, and that's a great thing. It's very fun to watch Ross Chastain race, but it can cost him in the playoffs if he makes too many people upset, makes too many enemies, and they potentially take him out or, slow him up and cost him a spot. So that could play a factor, but overall, he's been fast this year. He's been fast at all different types of racetracks. Las Vegas, he led over 80 laps. Obviously, he's won on a road course. He's won at a super speedway. He has shown speed at Richmond, a short track. So they have shown speed at almost every single racetrack, and they have led a ton of laps. As I said, third most laps led this season, all in the Cup Series. So he's had a very, very good year, and he's going to be a top championship contender as long as he doesn't make more people mad and doesn't get taken out. He's going to be contending for that championship. He's going to be a top contender. He's going to be up there with Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, those guys. He's going to be competing for this championship. He's going to have a really good shot. And it's not even like a problem, like I said earlier in the video, with he just doesn't have that much Cup championship experience. He's a very talented driver. It's just that we've never seen him in this situation in the Cup Series. We saw him make the Final Four in trucks. We saw him do really good in Xfinity, but in the Cup Series, he's gone from a good ride, a decent ride, to a championship-winning ride, potentially. Like, he has had quite the career path, and now he's going in the Cup Series from, racing for the backmarker team, Premium Motorsports, and then he moved on. He did some part-time things. We saw him sub for Ryan Newman for a couple of races after the Daytona 500. We saw him go to Chip Ganassi Racing, and Chip Ganassi Racing, that was a good organization, but it wasn't a championship organization. It was barely a playoff organization, to be honest, at the end of its career at least. And so Chastain, we have never seen really in great equipment. But this year, in his first year, he has shown that he can win. He has shown that he can be up front. But when the pressure gets on him, when it comes down to a cutoff race and he's behind the points line, when he's in a must-win situation, how will he do in those pressure situations? That's probably the only thing that I don't know, the only thing I can't predict or give an opinion on, because I haven't seen him in it in the Cup Series. So that will be something interesting to watch. But let's look at the playoffs and, see how Chastain fares through the schedule. Chastain currently has 21 playoff points. If he can get up in the regular season standings, get him a few more playoff points, maybe a win, some stage wins before the end of the regular season, then I think this first round should be fine. He doesn't have the biggest gap, but he does have a good gap, and he is running much better than some of these guys at the bottom of the grid, like Chase Briscoe, even his teammate Daniel Suarez. He has been consistently outrunning some of these guys, so he should make it out of the first round. You look at the schedule, Darlington, you can. Here's another difficult thing with Ross. As I said, this is his first year in top-tier equipment. So you can't really look at his historic results as a sign of things, You can in some areas, but not everything. So that makes it more difficult for this championship case. But we can look at this year's results. At Darlington in the spring, he did crash on a restart. So, kind of hard to judge there. But Darlington is it's an intermediate track, I guess-ish. Difficult racetrack, but he's done well at the intermediate tracks this year. Next track is Kansas. You look how he did at Kansas in the spring. He had top 5 speed at times. He led some laps there, I believe. So he has shown speed there. He had a top 10, I think it was. I can't remember the exact result. But you look at Las Vegas in the spring. He led 80-plus laps. Could have been in contention in the win for that race. But he showed a lot of speed there. He's shown speed at Michigan. They've shown speed at Charlotte. It seems like all these intermediate tracks, they do have speed. So get some stage points there, potentially win some stages, win a race there. You're through. Bristol, a short track. Once again, I think he should be fine. Trackhouse, Ross Chastain has been showing speed mostly everywhere this year. With the playoff points they got and the competitive speed they got, I think that first round is good. Second round is a unique one. Texas was where the All-Star race was, and once again, Ross Chastain, he did crash out of that one. That was the freaky crash where Kyle Busch blew a tire. Chastain did not have enough time to react and flew over Kyle Busch. But yeah, so, not a lot of results to look at there either, but it is an intermediate track, a mile and a half. If Chastain, I think he was running second at the time that he crashed, so, he's got some speed there, potentially, looking at that. But as I said, intermediates, if he can run top 5, top 10 that race, he should be good. Talladega, he's the most recent winner at Talladega. So, super speedway, if he can get it done again. But at that point, if he can get enough points at that Texas race, I think it's just going to be stay out of trouble. Some guys may get stage points. They may be aggressive at the end of stages and get 8, 9, even 10 stage points to gain on him. But if they crash out at the end of the race and Chastain finishes 6th or 7th and these guys are in the 20s, Chastain ends up with an advantage at the end of the day. So, all he has to do is survive that if he gets enough points at Texas, which I think he can do. I think, they've shown a lot of speed on the intermediates, as I said. Talladega, you just survive. Going into the Roval, you should be good. And also, Chastain has proven to be a very good road racer. We saw it in 2021 at COTA with Chip Ganassi Racing. He was, 3rd in that race? Arguably could have won the race, in my opinion, if that race stayed green. Then he won COTA this year. He has led laps at other road courses this year. I think it was the Indianapolis road course. So he has shown speed at the road courses. Trackhouse as an organization, both cars have shown speed at road courses. So I would expect him to be up front there with Chase Elliott, with Tyler Reddick, with Kyle Larson, with those guys. And heck, I think I heard something today that said like Chevy's won the last 10 road course races or something. I don't know if that's right, but Chase Elliott's won a lot of them. Tyler Reddick's won the last 2. Trackhouse has won 2, so I guess that's a believable stat if you think about it. So Chevy has been very good at the road courses as a whole, and of course Chastain has been good at the road courses. So I would expect Chastain to be running up front there, and even if he comes into this race with a 10-point deficit, I think he could very well, win his way to the next round. But this round, I'm honestly not too concerned about. Texas, if he just does what he's been doing all year long on the 1.5 miles, the intermediates, he should be fine. Talladega, just survive. Roval, just do your thing, and you'll be fine. Then we go to the round of 8, and this is honestly a pretty good round for Ross Chastain. Las Vegas, as I have said multiple times already, Chastain led a ton of laps in the spring race. I think he won a stage, if I remember correctly. But he looked really good in that race. He was up front in most of the race with guys like Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Larson, William Byron. He was up there competing with these guys early in the season. Now as the season's gone on, they've gotten better as a team. Chastain has probably learned a lot. If they can seal the deal there, they go to Phoenix to the championship race, and they're competing for a championship. But both of these first 2 races, I think, are very favorable to Chastain. Also, the Toyotas, they've looked really good at the intermediate. So, Chastain, Las Vegas is a really good track for him. That we saw that in the spring. Homestead, if they bring the same speed that we have been talking about this whole video to the 1.5 miles, get some points there. You got to finish top 5, though. The thing about not having enough playoff points, like if he were to have the same amount right now, he's going to be close to that cutoff line. But if he can gain some of those playoff points, get a win or 2 before the round of 8, get a few stage wins, and then as of, what he can do right now, move his position up in the regular season standings, then he could potentially get more points, build a little bit more of a buffer, and he could potentially afford, one meh race. He cannot afford a bad race in the round of 8. He cannot afford a crash. He cannot afford a 25th place finish. The worst finish he would have to get here is like a 13th, 14th, something like that. The fact of the matter is, in the round of 8, all these guys are going to be running up front. These are going to be the best 8 guys in the Cup Series. Sure, there's been a lot of parity this year, and we could see chaos once again. But in your head, you have to have the mentality, we're going to run top 5 this week. We have to win. And as for Martinsville, that's going to be tricky, I think, just because, Martinsville is chaos. It's that last race to make it to the championship 4. We've seen crazy finishes there. We've seen crazy things happen in the Martinsville race. And, this spring race not much happened, and that's probably how Chastain will want it to go. He finished top 5 in the spring, so that is very good for him, a good sign. So, all 3 of those tracks in the round of 8 could be favorable to Ross Chastain. In terms of, just the speed they've shown this year, the tracks that they have been to already, which is Vegas and Vegas and Martinsville, they've shown speed. They finished top 5. They've looked really, really good. That's going to be a big benefit to them. And if they can run well at Homestead, they could indeed make it to the championship 4. Then, Phoenix, the championship race. If Ross Chastain makes it to the championship race, that is good for him. We've talked about Chase Elliott's history at Phoenix. We've talked about Kevin Harvick's history at Phoenix. Ross Chastain, in the one race there in the next-gen car, finished second to Chase Briscoe. Chastain showed a lot of speed there. He was up in contention for the win late in the race. This was before he got his first career win. So he looked really, really good in this race. He had a lot of speed. He was contending for the win. They bring that speed back to Phoenix in the fall, they are going to be a contender. And of course, if you look at the guy who beat him, yes, he is in the playoffs, Chase Briscoe. But Briscoe hasn't really been running up front all year long. Is he even going to be there in that championship 4? You look who else was up there late in that race. Tyler Reddick ended up finishing 3rd. He has had a breakout year as well. He could be competing with Chastain for the championship. Ryan Blaney, even though he's not locked in yet, it's going to be a close battle for Blaney. He was up there in the top 5. Kevin Harvick finished 6th. Kyle Busch 7th. Joey Logano 8th. So, some of those guys are going to be up there competing for that win, that championship potentially. So Chastain's going to have some tough competition. There's a lot of unknown just because Chastain, this is his first year in top tier equipment that, it's difficult to say. But the championship case for Ross Chastain, I'm going to say this for everyone, get playoff points. Priority number one. First round, he should be okay. Even the second round, I think he should be okay. Those tracks, you look at Texas, 1.5 miles, and you look at the Roval. Those are two tracks that I think are very favorable towards Ross Chastain. As for Talladega, just survive. Outduel the guys you're fighting for the playoff spots with. Just don't wreck, and you should be good. Round of 8, obviously going to be more difficult on the playoff point situation. It's going to be a much tighter gap than it has been the past couple of rounds. But you look at Vegas and how he ran in the spring, and you look at Martinsville, how he ran in the spring. If he can replicate those finishes, get himself top 5 finishes, get a bunch of stage points, win some stages, then he should do good enough. And even Miami, if he can do the same thing at Miami, he should be good enough. But he cannot afford a bad race in that round. As for Phoenix, he showed a lot of speed there in the spring, and it's very possible for that to happen. But you never know with this format. So who knows? Anyways, that's the championship case for Ross Chastain. Will he get it done in 2022? It's been a breakout year for him. And, we've seen his career path. He's gone up the ladder from the trucks to Xfinity, non-competitive Xfinity rides to competitive Xfinity rides. We've seen him in premium motorsports in the Cup Series. We've seen him in Chip Ganassi Racing. And now with Trackhouse, he is winning races, competing for race wins every single week, and competing for a championship. So how will he do in his first ever quest to win a NASCAR Cup Series championship? I don't know how he's going to do. We will figure out soon. But tomorrow we will be talking about Joey Logano and his championship cases. How he's going to win it, potentially, looking at his history, looking how his 2022 season has done like this. You missed Chase Elliott's championship case. I did make a playlist, so go check that playlist out. I will now have 2 videos up there. After tomorrow, 3. So, anyways, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like. Glad to see you guys are liking the video from yesterday on, yes, the Chase Elliott one, but also the Kyle Busch rumors, the reports, and all that. So, I'll try to keep you guys up to date on that. And surprisingly, we're knocking on the door of 2,000 subscribers. I may have to think of something to do for that. I don't know what yet, but we'll figure it out. Thanks for watching this. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you later.